Hello everyone and welcome back to the Sounds of Stadia podcast, episode number 108. You're joining myself, Chris, once again as your host for the week's Stadia and Gaming News, alongside the man of many pixels, Mr. Richie.
Hello everyone.
Hello everyone. You're joining us this week, folks, for another fantastic episode where we round up all of your Stadia and gaming news into a nice little bundle. A nice little early Christmas present, Richie, it could be. Maybe it's a pumpkin present. It is nearly Halloween. Yeah, like a pumpkin bomb from Spider-Man.
Imagine how terrible the world would be if on Halloween everyone had to start giving gifts like they have to do on Christmas.
No, it's not the worst, I guess, but I remember going trick-or-treating years ago, and we went to see family in a different town and city, and I don't know about where you guys from, but when kids knock on your door on Halloween in our area, you give them sweets or candy to our American friends out there. Dress up, there you go, you look scary, oh, there's some sweets, thanks for your time and effort. We went somewhere out of town and it was different. We would go visiting uncles and aunties. We went and knocked around. One of them, trick or treat, and one of them said, tell us a joke.
That's not one of the options.
And on the spot, I had to come up with some really shitty joke about, I don't know, like stealing my brother's nose or something really, really bad. The next place we went to, Richie, gave us oranges. So you can imagine as a 9-year-old child knocking on all his doors, just losing the will to live. I know it's Halloween, Day of the Dead kind of deal.
You know what?
My word,
the people who give you like toothpaste or fruit are beneath the people who pretend they're not in. I'm one of the people who pretend I'm not in.
That is, yeah. Oh dear. I've actually got 2 pumpkins this year. I'll post it on Twitter what I carve into them because it may be Stadia related, but they're huge this year. The ones I found, £3, and it's bigger than my head. Crazy stuff.
I kind of do like the unofficial rule that it kind of exists now, where if people have decorated up their house, you're free to knock on the door, but if they haven't, leave them be.
Definitely. Although I do think the UK is becoming very Americanized with Halloween. Like, we know you guys love it over in the States. Half our audience is based over there. We know you love Halloween, and it's starting to seep into the British kind of identity as well.
I think it's been around longer because we were trick-or-treating and stuff as when we were kids. So it's not like this is not new, but it just seems like every year it does ramp up that little bit more.
Yeah, I feel like adults are very much on with it now. Like, we've dressed up. I know you're not the biggest fan of dressing up, but our friends and stuff have doubled down on Halloween in the last few years.
I think it's because Halloween was kind of breaking in when we were kids, so it's something we've grew up with and continued into adulthood. Definitely,
certainly. Although, let us know in the comments. I want to know 2 things from our audience in the comments. We will get to the Stadia show and the Stadia news eventually. But it's Halloween, so let's talk about something different.
Yeah.
It's also quite a quiet news week, so spoilers. In terms of Halloween, one, I'd like to know, have you ever wore a bin bag as a costume? Richie?
Yes, I have.
Me too. Whether it's a British thing or not, have you ever wore a bin bag? Or a carrot?
I think it's like a council estate things like, oh, hey, you need to dress up. Do you want to be a witch? Yeah, put a bin bag on, paint your face green, then you're good to go.
And a pointy hat. What would a bin bag be called in America for our US audience? So like a trash bag?
A bin
trash can bag?
It's the black bag that you put inside your trash can.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Receptacle, your trash receptacle, whatever you call it. And
cut a hole in there and you got a good witch's gown.
It's also good for sweating if you're trying to lose weight. I've had people who go for runs, they wear like a bin bag underneath their like running gear to like make their body sweat more. Does it work? Who knows? But the second thing I'd like to know in the comments below is, what's the worst thing you've ever been given as a trick-or-treat gift on Halloween?
Oh, it's got to be toothpaste.
Have you been given toothpaste?
I'm pretty sure as a kid I got given toothpaste. You know, like the little travel fellas you can get?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure, like, one of my neighbours, like, when I was a kid, used to just give it. To be fair, I think they give you sweets as well, but I think they just chuck that in. It's like, because my mum doesn't buy me toothpaste.
This is to rot your teeth. This is to save them. It's like a delicate balancing act. That's bad. But I'll tell you what's not bad, ladies and gentlemen. The Sounds of Stadia podcast, episode 108. We'd get there eventually. We always do. We are here with a fantastic show. We are rounding up all of the new games recently announced as coming to Stadia. We've got a wild Phil Harrison, maybe appearing at the Game Awards. We'll jump into all that. We've also got some troubles over at Ubisoft with games potentially being too generic. We'll talk all about those details. APK breakdowns, some funny stories from the world of Twitter, and some Far Cry stories too. But before we do delve into that, Richie, we do need to spend some time, I think, and talk about our members. Because we're terrible at promoting our membership program. We're terrible at congratulating and thanking our members for their time and efforts. And I just wanted to bring up the good list of names there, and just big shout out to everyone who's joined the channel in recent months, everyone who's still with us, whether it's via the old Patreon channel, which some of you still are, or you're part of the YouTube membership program. The names are on the screen now, past, present, and I was going to say future, but we're not quite at Christmas yet, the ghost of Christmas past and such. But massive shout out, massive thank you for supporting the channel. It does go a long way. We try and reinvest, of course. We've brought you new intros for both of our main shows. We've got better technology, but this is still a hobby, and we do appreciate any extra effort you show me, Tom, and Richie along the way. It just sweetens the deal a little bit. It's like putting toothpaste in our Halloween bag, Richie. We absolutely love it. And you do get a little bit of something as well, so we know you give us the likes down below. You know you're already subscribed to the channel. But yes, if you do want to support us, bring you better Stadia content, we are one of probably the only few pure Stadia content creators left out there who doesn't dabble in all the other excitement of cloud gaming, because there's so much to do out there. But yes, from as little as 99p, we can give you our episode of SideQuest up to 6 days early. You get access to super stickers in our chats. More importantly, you get a lovely little Stadia controller next to your name too. It's not much, but it's kind of all we can do with the YouTube tools that we've got at our disposal. Of course, don't need to. Everything does drop on free feeds originally. That is our genuine promise. We won't gatekeep anything behind paywalls, but we do appreciate all of those members out there on the Helix Cloud channel. And Richie, we probably need to get better at thanking people.
We do. We need to make sure we do actually thank people more often.
Yeah, I think
we forget. You know we love you.
You know we love you. I think we actually forget because the YouTube member program is so bad at actually keeping us in the loop of what's going on. They don't tell you who's joined. They don't tell you who's left. They don't tell you what tiers people join. Unless you're in the chat when you join, when we get like a live notification. You wouldn't know. They just don't tell us anything. Yeah. So, yes.
Yeah, we don't get any notifications. So every week we have to go and literally check the list and update
ourselves.
Update
yeah,
things.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But means the world to us. Thank you for your continued support. And thank you for those who joined us this past Thursday as well, Richie. We jumped back in and played some Killer Queen Black.
We did.
We love Killer Queen Black. It's so fun. Even though we forget the controls every time.
Yeah, it doesn't take you long to remember them, though.
Yeah, I mean, you literally go down and up and left and right. There's not a great deal to it, but super fun game.
Conveniently, there's buttons for that on the controller.
Yeah, it's surprising how that's worked. The controller is almost designed to function in cohesion with the game. We did that, and of course, many of our friends out there in the community have been streaming games for charity as well. Hashtag Caring from the Clouds is continuing. Our friend John Scar over at 4Scar Gaming has rounded up all of the content creators to kick off a month worth of charity streams. We kicked off the whole event with our celebration stream right back at the beginning of October. Feels like a long time ago, Richie. It was only 2 or so weeks, give or take. And that continued this week with John, Stadia Pro Gaming, Granite, Ian Matthews, Jem, Meg, Ninja Guy X, MM2K, and our good member and friend Jack to Slip as well. And that will continue October 23rd. Go check out John's Twitter page if you want to know all the scoops for all of the Stadia content creators for charity. Great causes out there. And thank you again to all you wonderful people who helped raise £1,000, over £1,000 in fact, well over it, for Alzheimer's Society, which was our chosen charity this month. Right then, Richie.
Yes.
I know you've been playing Persona, so I won't talk about it. I won't ask about it. You're probably half a lifetime into it right now.
I'm over 90 hours. Let's move on. I'm not gonna. I said to you before this show, I'm not gonna. I was trying to get it done in under 100. That's not happening.
That's not happening. You've given your soul and life to Persona 5.
I might have it. I might have rolled credits before next week, though. That's my new target.
That's the goal. So you can get back to other games and other titles. I've been playing a bit more FIFA, but aside from selling our soul, Richie, everyone's here to dive into the
super sexy special Stadia story segment, aka the news.
Loads of news this week. I know I said it was light on news, but we always get the news for you. That's our role, that's our job, that's what this whole podcast is about. We gather all the little tidbits, the tiniest of tidbits, Sometimes we drag them out a little bit for the sake of the show. Sometimes we keep them nice and brief. Let's kickstart the day off by saying the news is brought to you by our newest member this week. Kaif Ahmed has joined us on the channel. He's joined us as a founder, just like you can. Shout out to you, Kaif, and all of the newer members on our channel. That's another thing I'm trying to get better at. The news is sponsored by you. The news is brought to you by you awesome members out there. Story number 1. Heist Simulator will be arriving on Google Stadia in early access form on October 19th. So just merely at the time you're listening to this, if it's on the Monday, tomorrow. So no doubt it will be part of Tuesday's Community Stadia blog. According to No More Robots, who's the developer, they put out a tweet saying, bringing you exciting news for all you Heist Simulator fans. It's officially entering early access October 19th. We can't wait for you to play. We'll be patiently waiting to give all of your heists a try. Don't make them too hard, please. And that is from our friends over at Stadia Source, bringing us the news. Heist Simulator, Richie.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm showing a trailer for Assassin's Creed Rogue. I'll edit
we
that
stole
out.
Assassin's Creed Rogue.
We stole Assassin's Creed Rogue. Heist Simulator,
That
of
was
course.
the heist all along.
That was the heist. It was a big, massive trick. So, Heist Simulator. We saw this. It was rated a while ago. We've been keeping tabs on it. This definitely gives me a feeling of Little Big Workshop, and
which is a very fun game. People should play
very fun game, yeah. Except mixed a little bit with Get Packed, just because you kind of have to play out the heist at the end of it all, which toe in toe, hand in hand, yeah, it kind of just reminds me of that. What's your take on Heist Simulator?
It looks fine. The big thing for me though is it is an early access title, so sometimes the early access title can almost just be there to I think sometimes just to protect the devs if they feel that there might be still a few bugs and stuff and they need to get the game out there. Other times you could have like a Baldur's Gate situation where 2 years ago they released a game and they still haven't finished releasing it.
Oh, that's a fair point.
So yeah, it's one of them. If you get the early access title, it's one of them. I usually just stay away from early access titles, to be perfectly honest. Because I'd rather wait until the game is complete to play it.
Mm-hmm. So to give you a bit of insight, the blurb essentially says: lights, camera, heist, grab your perfect team and hack, unlock, disguise, and explode your way to stealing England's finest tat and treasures. Plan your way around lasers, guards, and locked doors in some famous locations, then build your own to share with the world. So, for me, a few questions. You mentioned early access there, dropping on a Tuesday. Early access games, there's been a bit of a tradition that we get them as part of a Stadia Pro. We found it with Ember.
Yeah, I mean,
we've seen it with
that's
Hello
one does
Engineer.
That does sweeten the deal for me with early access, like if it is coming as a pro game, because I'm not outlaying money specifically for that game then. But
so do you think we get it as pro on Tuesday maybe, or do you think it'll stay in the store for a brief period and then it'll drop at a later month?
It's hard to say. We've seen Google just like drop pro games mid-month before, so it is entirely possible. I'm leaning towards though that this will just be where Stadia have their announcement.
So just
it'll be in the Tuesday blog as an out and out title, an early access, and then that'll probably be it. Hopefully, there's more to that blog than just this, but
yeah, we'll have to wait and see until Tuesday when obviously at the time of recording. In terms of the game, another thing I was going to pick out is obviously it's early access coming to Stadia, PC, and the consoles. I'm hoping this one really benefits from the mouse and keyboard compatibility, like the design element. I always feel like it's similar to Little Big Workshop. I feel like that dropping, almost like The Sims when you get the framework of your plans, it just functions better with a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then obviously when you play the level, that's probably more preferential as a controller, and you can just jump back and forth between the actual two of them. But loads of these simulator games, I think we've said a few times, just like how many, just add simulator on the end of any particular subject, and you've got a game.
It is a genre that is actually quite popular, like taking random concepts and turning it into a simulator. Like, I mean, if you think about it, how many times in real life do you get to perform a heist? Maybe 2 or 3 before you get caught and sent to jail.
It seems about right, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued to know just the way Because like the actual detail on the game is a lot, like the production value, I would say, seems a lot higher than most early access titles we've seen so far on the platform. Lots of stuff to edit. I'm really intrigued to see how like the alarm system works, like how you trigger it, how you can design it. It's kind of got a little bit of Creator in it too, the way it functions in the design stage, especially like drop and drag loads of assets into it.
I think that's one of the things that can give these games even more life, where the devs can make like probably a story mode. He's all the different museums and stuff you need to invest in. Oh, by the way, all the tools that we made to make these levels, you can now use and share your creations and test yourself. It just adds that extra life to it, which I think it looks really fun. I could see this being quite popular in the Stadia community as people, especially. I wonder if it's got things like state share.
That's exactly
because then you could just create it and then drop your creation.
Yeah, it seems like a good point. If you check out the website, it does say like play test now on Steam, but coming to Stadia is the next kind of like the next focal point on the website. So there's no like, it says it's coming to consoles, definitely is, but the fact that Stadia is front and center on the website makes me think similar to like Pixel Junk and another couple of titles that have launched first. In early access as well, I do feel like it's going to have that state share element. You create your heist, and then you just share it. Especially with his initial tweet saying, "I can't wait to see all of your heists that you've built yourself." Yeah. That tells me the dev is kind of waiting to let people get their hands on it and see it shared. And the way it lines up with Tuesday's blog
encourage that.
Seems like it's coming out. It's out now, early access on Stadia, maybe Pro, but also state share your heists and get it out there. And again, it's a very unique feature at Stadia that I don't think gets shouted about enough, like at all.
Yeah. Well, it's just because it isn't in that many games, to be honest. But as more and more games, it comes to more and more games. I think something like Heist Simulator, if state share's in there and it goes to Stadia Pro, a lot of people have it, so you might get a bit of traction of people sharing the state, especially with the Explore tab now as well. Mm-hmm. Although I still think that the Explore tab really needs work because it's so bare bones and there's no filters or anything like that. But if you could go into the Explore tab, search for Heist Simulator, and then all these creations that people are doing, their state shares are there, because you just remember that state share is tied to your captures.
Yeah.
So you could make your capture, drop it in the Explore tab, and everyone who has Stadia has access to your thing. This could be a very good advert for bigger developers to go, oh, that's a cool idea. We've got a game where that might work.
Yeah, it really it could in theory it could work with any game, and we just haven't seen it implemented. Like the great thing with Stadia is that all your save files are just in the cloud, and in theory you could do it with any game. Like I could be playing Assassin's Creed Origins, and I take a screenshot of me stood holding onto one of Zeus's testicles on one of the statues that everyone took a screenshot of.
We all did. Yeah, we all hang off the dome.
We all did it, and then I could just share that on Twitter or the Explore tab or anywhere, and you just click it, and you know what? It's no skin off my back if you just have my save file now. There's nothing like mature rated that personal that you can't access.
It's not like they have your save file; they have a duplicate of it.
And it's
the integrity of your file is still fine, but then someone else, which I think is great for any games that involve creation. Mm-hmm. It's like a creator, like Heist Simulator. Maybe some of the tycoon games or that sort of thing, where you could just create a scenario and then go.
Yeah,
I'd love Hitman would be awesome if you could just if they added a level creator to the world of assassination, so you could build a level, set the targets, and then share it with people all around the world to go, this is my level, go.
Yeah. It wouldn't be surprised if that's on IO's radar at some point in continuing the world of assassination, giving it, instead of season pass content, hand it over to the people. But could you imagine if we had something like Minecraft or like Mario Maker or something with the same share features? It'd be awesome. It'd be such a good thing for the community and new people finding the game. And I know we used to have a great time playing Little Big Planet back in the day. We never played the story. It was always just random maps with sharks and bombs and exploding things. But you had to go out and hunt for the highest rated. This way, you could literally just share your creations via a link. Imagine
if you're a Twitch streamer, pretty much streamed Mario Maker, and you could just share a screen grab through your Twitter, to all your fans, to everyone who watches your content and going, this is the level I made, click this and you're into the level without people having to find the code and search through menus and stuff. It just makes it so seamless.
Yeah.
So again, it is one of them truly unique features to Stadia that they just need to implement in more places.
Certainly. I'm sure they will. It's just, again, slowly getting familiar with it. So, devs in early access getting access to it.
I feel we went off a bit of a tangent there, but yeah, let's hope that State Chair is in this game because it's perfect for it.
Yeah, I think I have a sneaky suspicion it will be. And you don't have to wait long. So as I said, Heist Simulator will be available in early access from October 19th, which is only one day away at the time this show goes live. Yeah. Looking forward to seeing all of your creations, and share the links with us so we can check them out ourselves. Speaking of sharing things seamlessly, story number 2 for the week. I know you've been waiting for this one, Richie. You're a massive fan of this franchise, just like you are. Spirit Lucky's Adventure. Ben 10 Power Trip, launching October 15th, which is out now. Launched, not launching, I should say. It came as part of another entry from Outright Games, of course. Outright Games doing amazing work for family-friendly games over there. I've seen loads of our subscribers over on Twitter who are parents just sharing like the screenshots and their kid, like little images of their children playing these games. And it's great to see. It's another one added to the pile. To summarise, Evil Hex unleashes the power of the 4 mysterious crystals. As Ben, the Ben 10 himself, you're the only one who can break the curse. You'll transform into powerful aliens to battle enemies, solve puzzles, and freely explore an exciting 3D world with a bunch of friends in a co-op couch environment if you wish to as well.
Well, I've said before, and I think it's worth going back to this. The game looks fine. Doesn't particularly interest me, to be honest. But we've talked before about one of the things that Stadia could do is to get the next generation of gamers on board. And to do that, you need to get the parents on board. But then that's a lot easier when you don't have to buy physical hardware. Mm-hmm. And I also think the next generation of gamers don't have the same baggage as we do in terms of
nostalgia.
Well, it's not just nostalgia, it's the concept of having a physical box, and that's where you play your games. And if you play games on the go, it's having a dedicated device for it. That's kind of the world we grew up in, where I think most gamers now, young gamers, their first experience will be with mobile games, which there's some great mobile games out there, but there's a lot of tactics I find very, very shady and quite basically evil with mobile games. And
I mean, that was the problem.
Things like Stadia, it means if your kid is into Ben 10, you can just pick up your phone. Imagine if this was a pro game and all the Outright Games or Stadia Kids, which we talked before with Bryant about. Yeah. If there was a Stadia Kids subscription, so your parents have got you that, so you can just open your phone and play this game with touchscreen controls, and then you get home, you're out with your friends, then you get home and you pick up the controller and continue. Yeah. That, for me, is getting these young people into the platform, and I think it's a good long-term strategy, so in the future, they'll still be with the platform. It's what they've grown up knowing. Yeah. It's like how you buy every single PlayStation, largely because you've always bought every single PlayStation. Yeah. And also Sony first-party games are awesome, but...
Yeah, it's a great point that, like, talking about baggage, and I know we don't touch on it that much with kids because, like, neither of us have children. Tom has, like, a few month old at the moment, and he's going to be our test bed for getting into cloud gaming with it existing his entire life. He's not new a world that cloud gaming didn't exist in. Which is crazy to think, like, games consoles were only like just starting out when we were like babies. So the world's a totally different place. But you're right there in terms of like just mobile. I remember like Plants vs Zombies 1, amazing. Angry Birds 1, amazing. And then the sequels came out and they were just monetized to shit with like transactions, and you had to wait for like new levels to unlock, or you had to pay for like special in-game currency to get to the next part, and it just ruined the fun of the games. Like the games in themselves, great fun. The tactics around selling you the game, not so much.
I think it's weird within the mobile gaming space where I think normal tactics no longer work because I think it's been twisted that much where we probably could just do a full side quest.
It's the race to the bottom. It was like the apps initially were like $2.99, $1.49, and then they got cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and monetization went higher and higher to a point now where if your app isn't free, you're missing out on like a market of millions and millions, and we've seen it in console with the likes of Fortnite and stuff, free to play. Like, I'm really intrigued to see this winter how Call of Duty Vanguard does. Is it Vanguard? Or is that the Warzone freebie? Yeah. It might be Cold War. Is it Cold War? I'm so lost now with the Call of Duty one. Or the Call of Duty Battlefield. We mentioned it when Battlefield was first announced, but you're asking me to pay £70 for a Battlefield game that only has online multiplayer, yet I can play Warzone for free? Why? Yeah. Why would I do that when they're arguably the same, if not one Call of Duty is potentially better in a lot of people's eyes? So the race to the bottom is very, very well and truly alive, and gamers don't know that. People who play mobile games, they're inherently conditioned to just go, oh, well, I'll try it out because it's free, and they expect microtransactions. But back to your Ben 10 point, kids know it.
The thing is, it is us where we are the problem in this. I think we will actually do a side quest on this at some point. So when that's well, in part because if you see a game on a phone that you're interested in, and it's like £1.99, you're probably not actually going to buy it.
I think the last one I paid for was the Mario Runner game. I think that was like $9.99 or something.
And I think that can be part of the problem sometimes. You look at it and go, oh, if it's only worth that, if it's only $1.99, it's not worth buying. But then you complain like when they have to monetize through microtransactions and adverts, and it's like, So we are the problem, like not just me and you, like the general consumers. But let's put a pin in that, and because I do actually think there's an interesting side quest topic there.
So we'll loop back around to Ben 10. So you're completely right. Yeah. You've got a child. They're interested in playing this game. I see it all the time. You see like parents out with pushchairs and the kid is just on their phone. They're playing it on there. Maybe not this game, but a game. They get home. They can boot it up on the big TV. Then they go back out in the car and they take the iPad with them. And it is that seamless way of... I'm not a parent, but from what I've seen is if you take that item away from them, they kick off for the most part. The fact that you could seamlessly transit the exact same experience from device to device to device is fantastic. And I think it's very overlooked. And like you said, over time, it's just going to become the norm as the next generation of gamers comes through. And all these big companies, they ain't looking at the here and now. They're thinking in 10 years' time, when this 10-year-old who's currently playing games on his mum and dad's phone still potentially...
is 20 working the first job and is still invested in the platform.
Yep, and we'll be in our 50s, still arguing about...
In 10 years' time, we won't be in our 50s.
We won't.
We'll be in our 40s.
That's true. Well, still.
We'll still be arguing.
We'll still be arguing about microtransactions and stuff. Episode 500 and something.
Damn them kids with the fidget spinners.
They're gone, Richie. They're old now. They're not.
They've come back. The retro now.
The retro fidget spinners. Give me a yo-yo any day. In fact, no, I was terrible with yo-yos. I can never really do them.
Yeah, same.
But speaking of yo-yoing around, let's jump over to story number 3. We are on the cusp, Richie, of this year's Game Awards. Jeff Keighley, of course, doing his work out there, doing his graft. I noticed Jeff Keighley was at DC Fandom this week.
Jeff Keighley is everywhere.
If you think Jeff Keighley's everywhere...
Apart from Stadia.
If you think Jeff Keighley's everywhere, I'll tell you another story. I watched Muppets Haunted Mansion this past week as well. To get in the spooky mood. He's in that. He's in Muppets Haunted Mansion as a cameo. And at first, I saw it in the credits and I was like, why the hell is Jeff Keighley in a Muppets movie? And then I remembered...
Because he has a good connection with Muppets.
He has the Muppets show up every single year at the Game Awards. So yes, that will be one of my predictions for this year is yes, the Muppets will appear.
Do you think that was like a childhood dream of him? He probably grew up watching the Muppets. He loves the Muppets. And it's like, you know what? One day I'm going to work with them.
Yeah.
And then when he's like with Spike TV and when he got the Game Awards, like, you know what? The Game Awards is big enough. All right, I'm doing it. I'm reaching out to them.
Yeah. And you know what? I love the Muppets being at the Game Awards. It's such a random segment, but they had the Untitled Beaker game last year.
You know what?
Which was so funny.
Which I still think it should come out.
Yeah, I do as well.
But you know I think the great thing about the Muppets is it gives the Game Awards such like unique character. Mm-hmm. It means it's not just another. It doesn't feel just like another corporate award ceremony like the BAFTAs or the Oscars or the Grammys.
Yeah.
It's got something unique and interesting about the Game Awards.
I couldn't even tell you the difference between all them award ceremonies. The Grammys, BAFTAs, they all just blur into one in my mind. I don't know which association they're with. What it's just. Yeah. I know they vote for movies and music. I think in some way, shape. I never watch them. I know that much. Yeah, I just usually read an article about who won and then go, eh.
I'll see the Oscar for the best picture goes to. I was like, I haven't even heard of that film.
Yeah, it's some like indie darling movie. Speaking of indie darlings, though, we go back to our story of the Game Awards, and it's rocking up this year again. We'll see Jeff on stage. Probably it's actually in person. It's live this year. We should point out it's not in his fancy 3D studio. It's bringing it back. They may have an audience. I don't recall that. However, our friends over at Cloudy with a Chance of Games, Duncan and the team, noticed that one Mr. Phil Harrison, titled down still as the VP and General Manager of Google Stadia, is on the advisory panel for the Game Awards. Now, he has been for the last 2 years, I think, as well, so this isn't something new. However, this may be, in fact, Phil's first appearance in any way, shape, or form. If he's there in person, which I'd imagine he has to be if he's on the advisory panel, it's the first time he showed up and potentially represented his brand Stadia in a long, long time, because, again, we jump over to his Twitter account. His last tweet was a retweet of the Stadia Twitter handle, April 10th, 2020. And I know we've joked before, but this guy's only got 13k followers on Twitter.
Well, because doesn't tweet anything, which is, I think nowadays, if you're the CEO of if you're the vice president and general manager of something like Stadia or Nintendo or Xbox or AMD or Epic or any of these game consoles, you're expected to have a public presence, especially if you're a known name like Phil Harrison is. He's a known name in the gaming industry. So the fact that he's kind of, it's almost like he's a bit of a shut-in. It's like he's almost like he's hiding. But it's really good to see him on this board, because we've joked in the past where if it's got, where we've said any sort of like press conference or anything that has Jeff Keighley attached to it, it's probably never going to mention Stadia, because not once I kind of remember where Jeff Keighley's actually acknowledged the existence of Google Stadia.
Cloud gaming, full stop. I don't really think. I think the only one he has is GeForce Now sponsored one of the streams, and that was about it. So
I think he's probably mentioned like xCloud.
And I know,
but there again, that's Microsoft. So that's all. It is a bit different.
Yeah, and I know we did cover it in an episode of SideQuest, but we are in October now, nearly the end of October. We are coming up on Stadia's birthday. Will we see any kind of presence this year at all? Like, we've got to remember, it was December 3rd or 4th when we had the live hangout session with Xavier Woods. That was last December, Richie.
Yeah, then they really, well, we've talked this topic to death, but they need it. If they want to get more people on board, you kind of got to reach out to them, and the best way to do it is put your people up front and centre and talk about what you're doing.
Yeah. I would love to end the year with like a double hit of, they celebrate their birthday, they celebrate 2 years, they tell us, they do something, they give us a connect, they give us a good stuff event. Just at this moment, the audience is starved for information.
It'd be great to have if they did, like, you know what, we're going to do a connect. It's going to be an hour long. We're going to talk about what this last 2 years has been, what the plans are going forward, how our partnerships are going. Talk about the good and the bad stuff. Get some game announcements, and end with, and keep an eye on the Game Awards for more info.
Yeah, that would be terrific. Because it has been a quiet year. Anyone who says it hasn't, and yes, I know we get blogs and stuff, but for the most part, it's blogs of old games. Like, let's be real.
And let's be honest about the blogs, that's not good marketing at all. Because unless you're in the Stadia ecosystem looking for that information, you can't. I saw a comment on one of our videos earlier today saying that they need like a notification system so you could like almost follow a game on the store that you're interested in. So if it goes on sale, like a wish list, it goes on sale, you can get notifications. So there's people in the Stadia ecosystem who are watching Google Stadia content creators who I'm guessing aren't reading the blogs, because that info is in the blog. But again, I've always said the blogs are terrible. It's a useful thing as supplementary, but it shouldn't be your primary way of getting your info out.
It's not your main marketing beat, of course. And not everybody uses Twitter, social media at all. So how are you getting your message out there? And it is usually through mainstream media like television commercials or go to the cinema and see a trailer before a movie. Like, I see PlayStation adverts before every movie I go and see. Yeah. And it always makes me happy because I'm like, hey, my favourite hobby is up on the big screen with movies.
Well, I know when a blog post has been dropped because I'll get a notification from our Discord, which is picking up the Google Stadia Twitter account.
Yeah, and same
That's
goes.
how I know when it's been dropped.
Yeah,
Stadia as an ecosystem itself doesn't let you know that info.
If you follow the Stadia Discord, I think you get it as well.
But that's not in there. That's not in the Stadia ecosystem itself. That's
true.
Off to the side.
Off to the side. But yeah, I'm hoping for this doubleheader. Again, I would not be surprised if you just didn't see him at all, and he's just part of an advisory board who, God knows what he does. Like, does he vote for stuff? Does he pick the colour of the backdrop on the stage? Like, does he have any input whatsoever on the game? Because remember, a few years ago, we saw all the heads of Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation share the stage together for probably one of the most timely moments in gaming, video game history. All of them on stage together. And yet, does he even get a seat at that table? Probably not. And that means he needs to do work to improve it. Well, his I refer to in my business is personal brand. Everyone has a personal brand, and he has a massive weight on his shoulders to represent this brand. And whether he's interested in it or not, that's his role as a public figure, as the head of Google Stadia. And not tweeting for over 2 years nearly, it's not good enough. Like, it really isn't. Like, let someone else do it if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the top table for video games, at the moment, you're looking like the Sonys, the Microsofts, the Nintendos, some of the AAA publishers like a Ubisoft's probably in there. It's Phil Harrison's responsibility, in my opinion, to walk up that table and sit down and go, I belong here.
Yeah, he needs to own it.
But when I say him, I mean Stadia. But it's his responsibility, in my opinion, to go, Stadia belongs at this table.
Yeah, it really is.
And here is why.
And we should reiterate as well, we want to see more of him. We're not doing it to be a pain in his ass. We literally we want to hear you communicate with your audience, Phil, and your wider team. You need to talk to us as your audience, as your consumers, about your brand. I just want to hear you shout from the rooftops about what's so good, why should we keep playing, tell us what's coming, tell us what you're excited about, what plans are in motion, because that is your role as the leader of that business. But we'll wait.
The thing is, he doesn't, I've said before, I don't think he necessarily has to be the face of it himself as the CEO, but you need someone. So if he had someone who came out, this is the public figure of Stadia, and that Phil Harrison runs it in the background, that's fine.
Yeah.
The top dog in the company doesn't have to be the face of it.
Yeah, just get a spokesman. Hire an actor. Get a famous actor. I mentioned it before on one of the Google I.O. events. They got Michael Penner from Ant-Man to go and talk about the Google servers. And he went along and just played his character from Ant-Man. But I loved that segment. It was 5 minutes. I learned a little something. And it was fun and engaging.
I don't think you necessarily need to go out and hire a big name actor. You've probably got big personalities working for Stadia right now who could fill the role.
True.
All you need to do is enable them, give them the content, and get them in front of the camera regularly.
Very true.
Use YouTube. It's bizarre how little Stadia uses YouTube.
Well, time will tell, Rich. The Game Awards is not that far away. We'll probably be giving some predictions on a future podcast, but hopefully we'll have stuff to talk about, because we have got... We're just shy of 1 month away from Stadia's 2nd anniversary. We'll be doing a celebration stream, no doubt, for the birthday sometime. We did it last year. We played Cake Bash. Did we have cake? Can't remember. We may have done.
No, that was our anniversary.
That was our anniversary. Well, if they give us something to talk about, we may well celebrate this time round.
Right, here you go, Stadia. If you don't do something for your birthday, we're doing it for mine, because mine's in mid-November as well, so...
You heard it here first. If you don't take the platform, Richie's going to swipe.
Oh, actually, I've just remembered. Google Stadia owe me cake. They promised to give me cake before, and I never received it.
You're right.
Yeah. Wow. I expect Phil to deliver it personally at the Game Awards. Send us a ticket.
That's asking a bit much. I tell you what's not asking a bit much, though. Story number 4. Anyone can have story number 4. Ghost Recon Frontline, of course, only announced mere days ago. We announced it on the podcast. The follow-up, spiritual successor kind of thing. It's not a single-player entry in the Ghost Recon franchise. This is a brand new title. And they were planning a open beta kind of play test on the 14th of October, a few days ago. It's been scrapped. It's been pulled. And there could be a reason for that. So of course, just to recap, Frontline is a free-to-play, class-based spin-off of the long-running tactical shooter series Ghost Recon. It was unveiled last week as part of the 20th anniversary live stream, and the announcement focused on Frontline, and it mentioned the flagship version in the game, or the mode called Expedition Mode, a new take on Battle Royale for 102 players where teams of 3 compete for objectives before calling in for extraction. There will be other modes coming at a later date. It's going to be free to play, but more importantly, it's coming to Google Stadia. However, even though we seem quite hyped about this, Richie, we like the look of it, the internet did not. And they downvoted it to hell on its YouTube trailer video. It had like 4 times the amount of downvotes as it did upvotes, which is usually a good test bed for how the public are feeling about certain products. And they've came out on Twitter and said, we've got an important message regarding the Ghost Recon Frontline closed test. And I quote, "We've decided it is best to postpone the closed test for Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Frontline. The development team is dedicated to creating the best experience possible. We'll share details on the new date for the closed test as soon as we can. Thanks for your ongoing support." And now, the internet did its thing. To give you an actual number, I've got the stats actually. It's 4,900 likes to 17,000 dislikes. So it is almost 1-to-4 ratio. I'm sure that's changed by the time of recording. Where do you stand on this, Richie? Is this the internet has got their way, or is this something else?
I don't think I think it's a bit of both. I think with stuff like this, you're going to get a vocal minority who go, who are going to go like, "Oh, I don't like look of that, downvote it." Then sometimes the internet can just pile on. I bet you there's a good chunk of them people who've downvoted it, who have no intention of playing the game, who have not much interest in Ghost Recon. But what I think Ubisoft are probably doing, because of the reaction, rather than putting out putting out an open beta so more people can get in and then trash it, just step back, let the outrage pass, and then they'll probably do an open beta in like a couple of months' time, once that outrage has subsided. But I don't know. It's like, see, I get if you're a big Ghost Recon fan, and then this is like, because Ghost Recon is traditionally a single player game, and now they're going multiplayer, they're going battle royale, which that has a bit. Battle royale, I think, carries a bit of baggage because it's like the biggest multiplayer genre at the moment. So if you're very hardcore single player, it's kind of like the antithesis of what you want in the game.
Yeah, it's one of them. It's not for you kind of thing. And I'm the same way with a lot of titles. I know I went the exact same way with Battlefield this year. I was really hyped for it. I was looking forward to it, and then they came out and said it's multiplayer only, and my interest just fell off a cliff. And I was like, well, I'm not paying £70 for no single player campaign or story at all. Like, that's just not for me.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to do a side quest, which will come out on Friday on Ubisoft. So I don't really want to go too much into the story at the moment, because I think there will be a lot of crossover with side quests.
There will indeed. I do think, though, for our podcast listeners, we should point out a few things, and it's got its downvote. My theory is, you said about the people who click downvote regardless of what happens. Like, you and me looked at it, and we're quite like-minded gamers. We're quite open to trying new things, and I think last week we were overall positive in, it's... Obviously, we've got that Stadia bump. The fact it's coming to Stadia does make us a little bit happier about it, no doubt. We can report on it. We've got something to talk about. So bear that in mind, audience. But at the same time, it's something different. Ghost Recon Breakpoint didn't really click with me, although I really did enjoy Wildlands, and similar for a lot of audience out there. Part of me thinks that a lot of these downvotes are the fact that Ubisoft are announcing yet another game that does not feature Splinter Cell. Like, how many see Tom Clancy and go, it's not Splinter Cell again? Like, all we hear is, when is the next Splinter Cell game coming? And we see him have cameos in every other Ubisoft title except for his own damn... Poor Sam Fisher. He's like Phil Harrison. No one's seen him in so long. He's just missing.
Well, the thing is, we have seen him, just not in his own game.
In various forms. And I'm sure he'll get a skin in this game. Don't worry about it. He'll get a skin.
The thing is, what sets Splinter Cell apart from some of the other Tom Clancy stuff is it's stealth focused. So it's like Ubisoft's take on like what a Metal Gear Solid is.
And we haven't had Metal Gear Solid in ages either.
Well, Kojima's left them.
Army,
so God knows when that
happened. We had Survive, and we all know how Metal Gear Survive went.
Yeah. that's probably a bit of a hot button topic at Konami anyway. Just like, because as soon as they announce a new Metal Gear Solid, there's going to be questions over like their relationship with Kojima and stuff. So they probably want to it's probably a strategic decision, I'd imagine, to distance themselves a bit from that.
Well, rumours suggest that there's new remakes on the way, but that's a whole other story. But yes, back to our side quest topic for this week.
Yeah.
We've got, of course, a slew of new games coming out from Ubisoft, all coming to Stadia. And we will be going in depth and talking about it as part of side quests, because we've got, Frontline, we've got Tom Clancy's X-Defined, we should point that out as well. We've got Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction, and we need to ask the question about, are Ubisoft milking the Tom Clancy cash cow a little bit too far?
I feel sorry for Tom Clancy, he's getting worked to death.
I mean,
Ubisoft are going, make more games, Tom, make more games.
Poor Tom, rest in peace.
Yeah.
But yes, it's a discussion that needs its own subject. So check out SideQuest this week, of course, available to our members today at the time of recording. If you want to listen to it early, 99p, support us, support the channel. You get your hands on it early, and you don't have to wait for it to drop on free feeds almost a whole week later. So be part of the conversation, jump in on the comments, and help support us a bit more if you do want to hear our thoughts and discussion on that one. But yes, I think we'll put a pin in Frontline for now, just like Ubisoft have.
Yeah.
And we'll no doubt get to it a little bit later. Next story of the week comes from... Where does it come from, Richie? Twitter.
It comes from
Twitter. And we should almost have like a little Twitter segment, because we pull a few of our stories from Twitter. And we mentioned it before, but the Falconeer came out not too long ago. Last week, in fact, I think it was, when I say not too long ago. It's so hard to keep track of time nowadays. The Falconeer did drop, Warrior Edition, out now, available to buy. Really good price as well. And I want to just shout out the developer, Thomas Salat. He is a solo dev, we said before. The game's getting loads of plaudits. I've seen loads of people play it and have a great time. And one of our members, actually, Ninja Guy X, reached out to him on Twitter and said there's a glitch in the Stadia version where you're not getting the experience, which goes towards preventing you getting an achievement. And the developer reached out to him single-handedly and just said, I'll look into that, bear with me. Then got back to him the next day and said, I'm working on it. I can report it's not an outright error. It's more difficult to pinpoint and reproduce the error so you can actually find it and fix it in the coding. He then replied again saying, I've isolated the issue. The patch will be coming out. And it was essentially fixed, resolved. Yeah. And reading like the Twitter thread, it's so heartwarming to just see a dev respond and...
It's great communication from Thomas. So he's acknowledged the error, and he's been quite transparent. It's like, I'm working on it. I've managed to reproduce it, but I haven't managed to pinpoint where the issue is. A couple of days later, pinpointed it. And there's one bit I read which I thought was interesting. The patch, I'm reading directly from Thomas now. The patch passed all procedural hurdles and should be making its way to servers soon. Again, it's the first time for me, and a bit clueless how long it takes to propagate across all servers worldwide. But I guess at some point extra XP will be granted. So he just went, I've done everything. It's all been submitted. It's all went out. I have no idea how long it's going to take for it to reach you, but it will.
Yeah, he did say about
and it's nice to have that level of transparency and just going, it's like, look, it's out there, but I genuinely don't know how long this will take.
Yeah, I think it is one of those things where it's the communication, the transparency, which is just awfully refreshing to see. And I genuinely think like in the actual thread, he goes on to say like it's my first time and it's the Google employees' first time of pushing the patch out as well. So there was someone at Google, it was their first time of trying to fix something as well. And he gave a little example of how because Google is in the cloud, he has to slow down his coding for it to work. I'm sure like Tom could explain it a lot better than either of us could. But it basically tries and describes how exactly the patch works and the reason that was causing the issue, and how Stadia is so fast on a server side, it needs to be artificially delayed for the game to run at the best rate, which is a testament to how fast Stadia's servers are running. But then also it's a really good insight into like how game development isn't just a case of just fix it like that. You need to think about all factors.
Yeah, it'll be like putting some like frame rate limiters on it and stuff, because I think back in the early dawn of video games, like I think you had things where the speed of the game will be linked to the clock speed of your CPU.
Mm-hmm.
So if you upgrade your CPU, then suddenly the game's playing completely differently. A lot of that was resolved by like not having it so well pegged, and then having like developing like frame rate, like things that would limit the performance of the game and stuff. But
yeah. But yeah, I found it now. Yeah, so a quote from Thomas here: "In the end, the internal timings on Stadia are a lot faster than 60. The entire idea of monitor timings goes out of the window, and that means some code might be timed slightly off, which is what happened here. The significance of timing for anyone working on game dev is not trivial. In non-technical terms, Stadia's servers run the game at ridiculous speed. Because there's no monitor slowing it down, you have to code it to slow down. Because the cloud is like an early 90s PC with a million turbo buttons. This can break stuff."
Called it. Just called it right there,
Yeah.
Without actually reading
Exactly
that bit of the tweets.
And,
but yeah,
it's a great way to look at it. And the best part as well, just the open honesty. And Thomas replies and saying, if I don't fix it quickly, I get a rash if it isn't fixed in the same day. Hope it gets through Q&A and processes so the patch gets fixed fast.
It's actually quite insightful, this, because this is a bit of information I don't think we've ever really had before.
Nope.
Where we know things like Stadia, I think it does typically run at like higher resolutions and higher frame rates, and then they condense it down, and that's how they deal with like latency issues and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it just goes to show you, porting a game over to Stadia isn't as trivial as just dumping the executable onto a different server. That the unique way Stadia processes its games can have unexpected issues. So this might be what causes delays to some games in the port, and why things like Mafia take a year to come.
There's no excuse for that.
No, that's not. Yeah,
we won't talk about that.
Dig.
You had to bring it up, didn't you? You had to bring it up. We're still waiting on 1 and 2. Hangar 13 when you're ready. Moving on though to another Twitter story I wanted to pull out. It actually ties in with our next story, but Uno. We all like Uno. Never really played it, but I appreciate it from afar. Uno.
I think Tom's played it.
Yeah, I think Tom has it on Stadia, but I think he's played it in real life as well, like with the actual cards. Yeah. The next expansion
pack...
boomer. I know, yeah, such a boomer, baby boomer. The next pack is out, the Call of Yara pack, which is a tie-in with Far Cry 6. Of course, available now on Ubisoft Plus and Google Stadia. They've dropped a trailer for it. I don't really know how these tie-ins go. It's just Ubisoft flexing their muscles. I'm sure there's a Sam Fisher Splinter Cell pack in there somewhere as well. But essentially, yeah,
wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't. Uno, the Call of Yara, the latest Uno pack, is inspired by the exhilarating and liberating atmosphere of Far Cry 6. Plunge into the unique ambience of the tropical paradise that is Yara before planning your next coup or whatever guerrilla stuff you have planned. Have you ever called a guerrilla icon to win a game of Uno? Well, now you can. This is Uno done the Yaran way. It's the same card game, just with skins for the cards.
Yeah,
it's like Monopoly.
And if that's what you're into, fine.
Yeah, it's just something to refresh the pack a little bit and make
I suppose
it
there's not much you can do for like DLC or apart from cosmetics, and for something a game like Uno, you can't add new levels.
You know what? They're making it work.
Yeah.
But the reason I wanted to bring this up is, funny enough, with Uno, our friend Adam at Original Penguin over on Twitter, with this little Twitter block we've got now, points out that in the description of Uno on Stadia, and I read straight from the Stadia description on the store page, one of the most iconic classic games which we all grew to know and love, Uno makes its return with an assortment of exciting new features such as added video chat support and an all-new theme system which adds more fun. And the key part about that Adam clearly picked out was video support? Webcam support? As part of Uno, I don't know how that would work. Like even playing it on traditional console, I'm guessing you have a webcam that links up with the people who you're playing. Would be the theory, so you can see your competition.
Yeah. So, I've just done a quick search, and that description is lifted, word for word from Steam.
Right. So, that was the prevailing theory on Twitter and German. And Stadia fans picked up on it, where the screenshot, the PlayStation Store and everything, and it just looks like it's been copy and pasted straight up.
But the thing is, it's sloppy. I have no issue with the we've got the description there, we're just gonna copy it and paste it in another place. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But give it a read.
Proofread your work.
Just give it, just before you publish it, just give it a read.
So you're telling me, Richie, Stadia doesn't support webcams at this time.
Yes. At this time, I can... Unless, because it's Sunday right now, unless by the time you're listening to this on Monday morning, in like less 12 hours or something, that Stadia suddenly shadow drop webcam support, which is possible. It is Stadia after all. I can say with good confidence that Stadia does not support webcams.
Okay.
Your PC does, however, so hence it being there on Steam.
Yeah, I guess. But I guess that's that. Check out Uno, check out the pack. Yeah. And if you do want to hear about any updates to Stadia, such as potential webcam accessibility, look no further than the next story of the week. Our friends over at 9 to 5 Google, Carl Bradshaw himself, breaking down another APK file. For those who don't know what APK files are, they are the Android file that contains all of the coding for the latest app available on Android OS devices, and within that you can delve in, do some data mining yourself, avoid all the Bitcoin and just get to the juicy Stadia news. And Carl's done just that, and he's found out some new features that are rolling out with the new app update. Number one, Richie, playability tips. It seems to be that people who are quite tech savvy, we're quite tech savvy. I've seen a lot of people in our Twitter circles who, if they're having problems with with Stadia, or just any tech in general, you run a few basic rundown tests to isolate the issue. You turn your Wi-Fi off, you check your frequencies, you basically have a fiddle around, don't you? To familiarise yourself and see nip it in the bud where the issue might come from. The playability tips feature rolling out on the Stadia 3.38 app seems to include something called playability tips, and reading a few of the bullet points that have been dug out. Ethernet is more stable than Wi-Fi. True. Switch to Ethernet if you can. Yep. Switch to 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. It's a wider frequency, so you can get more data transfer down the pipes. And the router setting can improve gameplay. So
what typically happens with Wi-Fi, there's usually two bands. There's 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. 2.4 is actually better for range, but it can carry as faster speeds. 5 doesn't penetrate through things like walls and stuff as good, but can carry much higher speeds, which is why actually 2.4 still exists, and so most routers will come with a dual band router nowadays. Yeah.
That's the best way. The way I always describe it, Richie, is think of it like waves of water instead of radio waves.
Yeah.
You get a thin, tiny wave. It can get through all the little cracks in the dam. That little tiny radio wave, so it can go further. Big, massive block of it. You'll be able to wipe entire towns and cities out with a block this big. However,
it can't get past the dam.
It's going to hit the dam. Yeah. I mean, if it's big enough, it can still mess the dam up. But that's how I've always looked at data transfer.
Well, I mean, it wasn't that long ago. Was it only a few weeks ago that we were talking about how Stadia should probably do more to educate people on cloud gaming and the things, the requirements? It might be in the side quest actually.
Possibly was.
Because this is part of it, making that information readily available for however. Because if people understand how cloud gaming can work and what they can do in their own infrastructure at home to improve their experience, then it's going to take off in a bigger way.
Well, that's it. How many people?
Because how many people? If you're not tech savvy, you just get the router from your ISP. You put it into place. Sometimes it might be in a cabinet, so with antennas hidden behind the TV or something. And it's probably an absolutely terrible place in your house to actually get good signal. Then you get when your internet isn't working. Well, you get on the phone to your ISP to complain to them. When in some cases it might actually just be the way you set up.
Yeah,
I know. From personal experience, I used to have pretty bad signal in my office now because I'm on Wi-Fi up here. I'm not hardwired in. And what I did is I bought the Google Mesh Wi-Fi system, so I'm not using my ISP provided router, and it massively improved the issues.
And that goes the same for me. I had my garage turned into a lounge room, and I moved all of my PC gear in here from the upstairs bedroom. We started doing streamed Stadia, and all of a sudden I had nothing. My signal could not reach through another layer of brick wall to get to here.
Because with your being currently set in what was once a garage, it's brick wall full of insulation and all sorts. There's a huge barrier for that signal to get through.
And even with the door open behind me, it couldn't reach. And similar to you, got a Google Wi-Fi, brilliant. And then now my internet in the whole house is just better than it's ever been. Because we all know that the generic one you get sent with your ISP provider is never the best quality.
Yes, and I personally think Ofcom should be regulating that the quality of their hardware is sent out, because the ISPs will continue to just push higher and higher speeds, and the people don't know what, not that familiar, but often the case isn't how the speed that you get, and it's the quality of the hardware and how it's been distributed around your household.
100%. And I still need to ring mine after Thursday. 2 Thursdays in a row, it's dropped out 9 o'clock on the hour, hasn't it? And it's messed up our stream. So we'll get to the bottom of that one. But before that, let's get to the bottom of this story, because the next part of the Stadia breakdown is also within there. It looks like they are updating the Stadia controller for Android TV, and in the text they've got, and I quote from the bullet point, enable Gotham input on ATV platform UI. Now, before you all get carried away thinking Gotham, does that mean Gotham? Batman, Gotham Knights confirmed for Stadia? Kill the Suicide Squad kills Justice League confirmed? What? DC fandom? Conspiracy theories all over the place. Step one, I would love to see those games on Stadia. Warner Brothers, Google, what the hell are you doing? Platform's 2-year-old now. We would need more than just Mortal Kombat. I know you've ported games to Stadia. Keep doing it. I want to see Batman. I want to see the whole Arkham trilogy. I've been saying this since day one, I think, Richie. Since like one.
I want to, because I haven't really played them, so
so good.
This would be the perfect opportunity for me to play them.
Well, they're in a collection as well on PS4 and Xbox. So yeah, just port them. Like, please, just port them. Port the Middle Earth games. Like, there's so many.
Bring them and stick it on Pro. Have a Warner Brothers Pro a month where you're porting the Middle Earth games and the Batman games and putting them all on Pro. Yeah. That's probably asking a bit much, but...
And Injustice. Give us the Injustice games as well. It's basically a publisher that I feel like Google should have done more effort with. I feel like they've just not tried at all. Like, for all we know, anyway. We'll see.
Anyway.
I know WB were trying to sell off the games in the whole gaming division last summer, so that could have been a whole thing. Either way, enable Gotham input on ATV platform UI does not mean that Project Gotham, not Project Gotham Racing, that's a whole different thing in its own right too. Yeah. Gotham is the code name for the Wi-Fi based input for Stadia. So essentially,
it's
trying to get the controller to sync up with the new Android TV app on smart TVs rolling out. They're just doing some work behind the scenes to make sure it's more compatible, and you can navigate through things like the library and the menu via the controller.
It's actually could be quite a nice quality of life feature, because I know with my Google TV, you can't use your Stadia controller outside the Stadia app on it.
Funny.
Which is a little bit annoying, but if you could just use a controller, then that just resolves the problem.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that's what this will lead to.
It must be, because it's such a little thing, isn't it, that you have to pick one thing up to get to where you want to go to then pick another thing up, when the Stadia controller can do all of it. It's got, like we said right at the top of the show, Richie, it's got directional buttons. So you can do it for up, down, left, and right.
It's got everything you need in the Stadia controller to do it.
It really does.
It just needs implementing.
Yeah, it even has the Google Assistant button, which isn't used for anything.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Well, the Google that's something they can work on as well.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah.
But yes, that's it for the breakdown. Just a small one this time round, but interesting nonetheless. One of the final stories for the week, ladies and gentlemen, just a few roundup messages here. Richie, we touched on it last week regarding FIFA 22. I've been playing loads of it. I'm deep into my career mode now, thoroughly enjoying playing any moment I get with the Razer Kishi and my mobile phone. We mentioned FIFA changing the name potentially to eFootball FC, and we theorised last week about what some of the names we'd like to see. Apparently the reason behind that is because FIFA are asking for over $1 billion for each 4-year World Cup cycle for the name branding. So no surprise EA are looking at a potential name change. So
my take in this is FIFA have turned around and went to EA. We're putting up the price. Obviously EA aren't happy with that, so they've decided. So they're workshopping an alternative, EA Sports FC. Letting it go, leaking it so it goes public to put pressure on FIFA to just fall back in line. I think this will be resolved. And will be FIFA 23.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah, I agree.
I think because the thing is, EA can just go, okay, we'll move on. That'll be the sense. Like, if you don't drop the price, we'll move on.
And you get
and
nothing.
Then FIFA are probably losing. I think it's something like, I think that 1 billion is twice what they're currently paying. So they're currently getting paid $500 million.
Mm-hmm.
So by trying to ask for 1 billion, they've lost $500 million.
Yeah, getting greedy.
There'll be a compromise, and they'll come in like probably at like 750 million or something.
Yeah. It's a very interesting story, because you're totally right. Like, how important is the brand to the game? But then at the same time, how important is the money to FIFA? And when it comes down to it, FIFA are doing nothing but just giving them the license for the name. Like, their work and effort involved in this to get over $500,000 is practically non-existent.
I think there's probably more they do with helping EA get access to players and facilitating the whole thing. That brand, even if it is just a brand, that brand does offer a lot of legitimacy to the title.
It certainly does. And like you said, it's just synonymous with football and soccer anyway.
Yeah.
But
I think, from EA's perspective, the game's strong enough to probably survive without the FIFA brand in front of it. Yeah. Just not... EA Sports FC is not the way to go, though. That sounds like they're setting up like a
football team,
e-sport, which it's possible. Like, they could actually use that branding to just set up their own non-league football team.
It was. I did listen to a few American gaming podcasts, and watching them deliberate over what FC even meant was quite entertaining.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
And like, that was funny, just as I heard it. Because obviously, although there are in the MLS, there are teams that have FC in their title.
The suggestions like they should name it like after Lionel Messi, because that's how Madden's named. It's like no,
Messi 23 does not work.
No.
Although Madden is synonymous, but that started off in a totally different world than where we are now.
Yeah, for me, football is a team sport, so you should focus on the team rather than the individual. And that's why I don't like things like the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, and this is again back to the name convention. It's an interesting thing that if FIFA stopped bringing out annualized versions and just went the Pro Evolution route and just made it a platform, the whole platform could be EA Sports, and you could have NFL, FIFA, golf, every sport. They've just bought Codemasters. They could genuinely have nearly every sport covered in one massive online platform that just gets seasonal content.
Just call it EA Football.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Or if you're in America or Australia, EA Soccer.
Yeah, we shall see. But yes, after a 10-year agreement came to an end and 2 years of negotiation over the party, FIFA want more than $1 billion for each 4-year cycle to capitalise on EA's financial turnover. We shall see. The name probably won't change, but we probably won't see that anytime soon. So time will tell with that one, as with most stories. Final ones for the week, folks, just to wrap up on a couple of things. Richie, I know you like going into your catalogue and deleting things on bulk, en masse. And Stadia are helping you out with that. If you want to go back in and delete multiple captures in one fell swoop, thanks to an update over on the Reddit thread, you can do that now. And I read from the Reddit thread from a community manager. Hi everyone. We hope you're all enjoying the capture feature to record your favourite moments on Stadia. We understand how frustrating it can be when you're navigating through all of those screenshots and clips. With that being said, we're excited to announce the rollout of bulk delete feature on web. Make sure you remember that. This feature will allow you to easily remove captures that are no longer needed, so you can take and keep meaningful captures. Just like that.
Is this feature already on mobile?
Just web.
Yeah, but I know it's launching on web now, but is it already on mobile? Because I'm sure...
Not that I'm aware.
Well, anyway, I was just thinking I think this feature would be better on mobile, to be honest, than web. That would be my focus. Because if you know, like how, especially if you load to WhatsApp groups, how much crap photos you just get sucked up. And then once in the blue moon, you just go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back to the start of my phone and just delete. Tap everything and just mass delete.
It takes so long. So many memes.
Yeah.
But
so many things I've just clicked on when I've just wasted my time. Yeah. And now I need to delete that.
It's interesting. I actually
Cheers, Dave.
Forget that there is a limit on how much you can save in terms of captures. I can't remember what it is. It was so long ago we discussed it.
I think
it's like a gig.
Correct us in the comments if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's based on capacity. I think it might be something like unlimited photo images and like 100 videos.
Oh, right. So it's based on actual number of videos rather than that.
Yeah.
But curious stuff, and it's nice to see that they're still doing those quality of life tweaks. Just like next story of the week, is the direct touch controls are now available on iOS, so anyone out there using an Apple device can now use direct touch controls for titles like Sega's Humankind. Richie, just throw it over to you. Have you played Humankind anymore with direct touch? Or was it just a flash in the pan?
No, because as much as I think it worked quite well, I was playing on my phone, and despite I have quite a large phone, I have the Pixel 4 XL, for audio listeners. The UI in the game was a bit too small to play. Well, I think the game probably needs a bit of the maybe dynamic scaling of the UI to work better, or play on something like a tablet.
Yeah,
on a tablet you'd be absolutely fine, but it's not a game that I would typically play on my phone anyway, because it's the sort of game where I'm just gonna sit up in here for an evening, put some music on, put a podcast on, and just mindlessly play through. So I just don't do that on my phone.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would like, we theorised before, I would love to see this on FIFA. As I said, I've jumped in and the whole career mode, purchasing players, working your way through the transfer window, maybe simulate 1 or 2 games. That would work fantastically with direct touch control. But at the moment, I believe Humankind is the only game that's...
Little Big Workshop would be one that would be quite good.
It again, games
so
that don't require
tap that,
pace, isn't it? It's just like direct input, of course. We just need to see more titles, essentially, like that. We've said before, I think the Telltale games would work fine with touch control as well, because they're not based on like quick movements and sudden reactions. They are very much just like methodical, work your way through. The Heist Simulator could be another good one that might work like that.
Yeah, well, when you're positioning things.
Hey, just drag.
What would we put? Hello Engineer.
Yeah, that would probably work a lot better.
Yeah.
But final story of the week. Nice little funny one to end on, just to wrap up for episode 108 of the podcast. Far Cry 6, I've been playing away, chipping away. I've cleared probably about a third of the island at this point. Having a great time exploring Yara. It's just more Far Cry fun, and we'll probably talk about it a little bit as part of the side quest episode, because it's Far Cry has been praised for one side, but then at the same time a lot of people have said it's the same tried and tested method over and over again. And I think the general consensus is that if you're a Far Cry fan and you like just clearing maps and blowing enemies up and having crazy wacky fun, I mean, at the end of the day...
It's more Far Cry.
Yeah, it's more Far Cry, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got like a pet alligator and a sausage dog helping you out. So there's the kind of line between reality and having crazy fun. But there is a nice little Easter egg, and I've not found it myself yet. However, if you go to an area of the map, there is a jump-off point. And in Far Cry, you have a wingsuit or you have a parachute. So you can traverse the skies quite freely. And at the top of the stone tower, there is a bale of hay below the tower, Richie. And when you stand on the platform, you will hear a very familiar tone of an eagle. An eagle's roar. Roar? Do eagles roar? What do eagles do? Screech?
Screech, yeah, I think.
You know what I mean. It's the famed Assassin's Creed eagle jump noise when they jump off into a hay bale. However, the ironic twist is in Far Cry, you hear the noise, you're at the top of the platform, there's a hay bale below. If you jump off, you die. You straight up just die when you hit the deck, because as we all know, and as we've made fun of Assassin's Creed for many, many years now, jumping into a hay bale from hundreds of feet in the air will not break your fall.
No, you just go straight through.
Just go straight through and you'll be dead or severely injured.
If anyone's like ever felt a hay bale, like they're really densely packed, they're really quite heavy. Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those laughable things. But I do appreciate that Far Cry kind of taking the mick a little bit with it, and it even gives you the fact that it plays the eagle sound effect to kind of encourage you to jump off.
Yeah,
and there's a clip online.
This is one of them moments that the development team, when the programming they're in, they were having a good day that day, when they were having a good chuckle at themselves.
Yeah.
Like, Bill, how many people do you think you'll get with that?
I've seen this players over on social media posting clips of it, basically saying like, it's a trap, don't fall for it. Old habits, rescue acting pace from Ezio's quote. And it's like, yeah, but if that happened to me, but now I know the story, I still kind of want to do it, just to see if I ever get there. But funny story.
It's these a shame that, from what I've read, it's not attached to an achievement though.
Yeah.
It feels like that would have been a nice
Nice little...
Imagine if you just did it and it just achievement came up that said, wrong game.
Yeah.
Or something to them effects.
Yeah,
Just like...
and the best quote from Reddit, Richie, comes part and parcel with this is, it's still a leap of faith, ... but the faith was misplaced.
That's your achievement there. That's the name of your achievement.
Faith was misplaced. Yeah, that's terrific. But yeah, nice little fun story there. I'm looking forward to diving more into Far Cry 6, just like you can. Available now on Stadia and, of course, Ubisoft Plus. Richie, how close are you to subbing to Ubisoft Plus now?
Well, I've said that once I finish Persona, then Ubisoft Plus is definitely going to be in the mix for what I go with next, partly because of Far Cry. And we've got things like Riders Republic around the corner as well.
Yeah, me, I think next week, 25th,
yes,
give or take.
Which is one of the reasons why I'm hoping before we sit down to record the next podcast, I will roll credits on Persona. I can't guarantee that. It depends how busy I am during the week, though.
We'll see.
Like on like Friday, Saturday night, I'm last 2 nights I've been up to like 3 o'clock in the morning, and you can stick like 5 hours a night in easy, which is why I'm over 90 hours now.
Chipping away.
Away.
We'll be back though, of course, this Thursday with a Stadia live stream yet to be confirmed. Do let us know over in our Discord what you'd like to play. There's plenty of people talking about Stadia all week long in the chat. The link is in the description below. Do join us. If you want to join us on the channel, remember our membership program is live and you can get the episode of Side Quests up to 6 days early, the day we record in fact. Where Richie, this week we're going to go away and talk about...
We're talking about Ubisoft and about either going too generic, which is why a couple of the conversations I've kind of put a pin in quite early in during this podcast.
Yep. But that's what we do. We side quest it off. We siphon it off so we can talk about it in a bit more depth and detail for your listening and viewing pleasure out there. Thank you very much for tuning in for episode 108 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. Do not forget to hit that like, subscribe to the channel, and tap that little notification bell so you get kept in the loop with all of the content we bring you here at Helix Cloud Games. I almost said it. I almost said Sounds of Stadia. Still doing it. 8 weeks into doing...
You can get away with it in this show. This is still the Sounds of Stadia podcast. I can't get away with it for side quests.
That is very, very true, of course. Yes, Helix Cloud Games, we bring you all the Stadia content, rounded up for your listening and viewing pleasure. First looks, let's plays, fun competitions, community engagement, Discord, chat. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at CyberChris2077.
I'm at RichieC89.
Tom is at AdaxisLP. Still away playing Stadia games out there. Thank you very much for your time, effort, and energy watching the show this week, folks. Have a great week in gaming, and remember, play wherever that makes you the most happy. My name's been Chris.
I've been Richie.
We've been Helix Cloud Games, bringing you Sounds of Stadia. Take care every week. Take care every week. Take care every week.
Yeah, take care every week. That's what you
every
do,
week,
yeah.
every day, every minute, every hour. Have fun, everyone, and game on.